Imagine this. For decades, scientists hunted answers with brute persistence. Entire labs spent lifetimes chasing a single fold of a protein. Hours of computation, years of trial and error, entire careers bent around one elusive structure. Then an AI model casually cracked open the vault. AlphaFold mapped millions of proteins in record time, compressing 50 years of biology into a weekend project. That's the kind of plot twist people once reserved for science fiction novels. And yet, here we are living inside the rewrite.
The myth that AI is only about chatbots and gimmicky filters is collapsing fast. Beneath the hype cycles and clickbait demos, these systems are making discoveries that human intuition alone struggled to reach. They're not replacing researchers. They're supercharging them. Picture a world where bottlenecks that slowed science for centuries suddenly dissolve. That's the shift we're watching unfold across medicine, physics, space, and even mathematics. It's not just about speed either. It's about reshaping the very process of discovery, nudging science into uncharted territory.
Take medicine. Protein folding was just the opening act. Once you know how a protein folds, you can begin designing drugs that lock onto its contours, like keys sliding into molecular locks. Pharmaceutical companies are now sketching cures with AI guidance, compressing timelines that once drained billions of dollars. There's a quiet revolution here. The same diseases that felt immovable a decade ago might soon be tackled with targeted treatments emerging from digital predictions. The dream of precision medicine is inching closer, not through miracles, but through pattern recognition.
Now shift your gaze to the brain. For centuries, the organ inside our skulls remained a black box. We mapped neurons in crude outlines, but the wiring diagrams always slipped away. Then machine learning entered the lab. Suddenly, we had connectome maps stitched from petabytes of electron microscopy, revealing details no human team could piece together manually. A cubic millimeter of brain tissue turned into a sprawling 3D atlas with billions of connections. New structures appeared, like hidden passages in a labyrinth we thought we knew. That's not just data. It's a new language for neuroscience.
Brain-computer interfaces push this even further. Imagine losing the ability to speak and regaining it because a neural decoder translates thought into text at 80 words per minute. These systems, once clunky and invasive, are evolving into wireless companions. The idea of speaking with your thoughts doesn't feel like a sci-fi plot anymore. It feels like an engineering challenge being solved line by line. And every breakthrough here isn't just about convenience, it's about dignity, restoring voices and movement to people silenced by paralysis.
The same pattern repeats in weather science. For decades, supercomputers churned overnight just to tell you if it would rain tomorrow. Forecasts were slow, expensive, and often wrong. Then came AI-driven systems like GraphCast, spitting out forecasts in seconds, outperforming traditional models on nearly every metric. One of them even predicted a deadly cyclone nearly a week in advance, giving communities precious time to prepare. Think about that. An algorithm quietly outpacing billion-dollar infrastructure and saving lives in the process. That's not hype. That's resilience delivered through code. Material science, too, is stepping onto a new timeline. Traditionally, discovering stable new compounds took generations of trial and error. Researchers stumbled through guesses, hoping a new crystal structure might hold. But in 2023, AI identified hundreds of thousands of stable materials almost overnight. That's 8 centuries of discovery compressed into a dataset. Some already show promise for batteries, superconductors, and solar cells. Instead of wandering blindly, scientists now navigate a map filled with highlighted treasure spots. This is no longer alchemy, it's targeted exploration. What shocks most people is that AI isn't just helping answer questions. It's starting to ask better ones. Algorithms like AlphaDev discovered entirely new ways to sort data, squeezing performance gains that human coders overlooked for decades. This isn't flashy consumer tech. This is the foundation of computing itself being rewritten by code that writes better code. Imagine the global efficiency gains when every device, every server, runs just a bit leaner thanks to AI-born algorithms. It's invisible progress, but transformative at scale. And then comes robotics. Picture an autonomous robot scientist working through the night, pipetting, mixing, analyzing, and generating fresh hypotheses without waiting for human supervision. At Liverpool, a robotic lab assistant already ran experiments continuously, learning from results and deciding next steps. Human scientists don't get replaced. They get a teammate that never sleeps, never burns out, and never misses a data point. In chemistry, where trial and error dominates, this kind of acceleration could collapse timelines from years to weeks. It's the difference between inching forward and sprinting ahead. Medicine is again at the center with radiology. Doctors drown in endless scans, trying to spot tumors, fractures, and subtle anomalies. AI doesn't tire, doesn't blink, doesn't get distracted after the 50th scan. Trials already show diagnostic accuracy rivaling expert radiologists. Instead of replacing doctors, these systems act like co-pilots, highlighting what the human eye might miss under pressure. A machine points, a doctor decides, and together they catch cancers earlier, fractures sooner, and diseases before they spiral out of control. That's not automation, that's augmentation of life-saving expertise. The grandest stage might be astrophysics. Detecting gravitational waves is like listening for whispers during a rock concert. The signals are faint, the noise overwhelming. Traditional methods often miss events or identify them too late. AI, trained on mountains of data, sifts the noise in real time. Suddenly, cosmic collisions hidden in the background emerge clearly. We're not just detecting black hole mergers faster, we're opening windows into the most violent phenomena in the universe. A eye here acts like a cosmic translator, giving us access to events billions of light years away. Climate science isn't standing still either. Digital twins of Earth, simulated at ultra-high resolution, are now within reach. Imagine running endless what-if experiments. Cut emissions here, plant forests there, tweak energy use globally, and seeing projected outcomes in days instead of years. These tools could help policymakers finally test strategies without gambling blind on our future. The urgency of climate change makes speed essential, and AI is one of the few levers that compresses timelines in humanity's favor. Even quantum computing, once the slow-moving darling of futurists, is being accelerated by AI. Correcting fragile qubits, optimizing algorithms, and making simulations feasible are problems researchers once thought decades away. Yet by combining AI's pattern recognition with quantum hardware, breakthroughs in chemistry simulations are arriving sooner. Cleaner energy, better batteries, and new catalysts are no longer just theoretical. They're becoming engineering problems solvable with hybrid AI quantum systems. It's another reminder that AI isn't evolving alone. It's fusing with every adjacent technology. And then there's spatial intelligence. AI no longer just parses text or images. It's learning to anchor itself inside the physical world. Systems now provide centimeter-level mapping, enabling augmented reality overlays, autonomous robots, and self-driving cars to interact seamlessly with their surroundings. Digital and physical worlds are blending, 1 centimeter at a time. This isn't about gimmicky AR filters. It's about logistics, navigation, and real-world trust in machines that understand space as well as words. Finally, quantum AI chips sit at the edge of possibility. Google's Willow chip, clocking calculations in minutes that would take supercomputers billions of years, hints at an era where AI isn't limited by classical computation at all. Quantum and AI amplifying one another is a future that's still speculative, but undeniably tantalizing. It's raw power meeting refined pattern recognition, a pairing that could redefine science altogether. The truth is, AI is no longer a sidekick in research. It's stepping into the role of co-discoverer, reshaping the boundaries of what's possible. From molecules to galaxies, the discoveries aren't scattered accidents. They're part of a growing wave. Each breakthrough folds into the next, accelerating the pace of human knowledge. But there's a tension here too. Every leap raises new questions about reliance, about verification, about whether we're outsourcing curiosity itself. That's the thread pulling us into the next chapter. Every great leap in science carries a shadow of uncertainty. When AI compresses decades of work into days, it doesn't just speed discovery, it reshapes the trust chain. Scientists are trained to scrutinize every step of an experiment, to test and retest until error margins shrink. But when an algorithm delivers results at blinding speed, the temptation is to accept them at face value. That tension between speed and verification sits at the core of this new era. And the risks aren't theoretical. A mispredicted protein structure, a misclassified brain signal, or a faulty climate projection could ripple into real-world consequences.
And the risks aren't theoretical. A mispredicted protein structure, a misclassified brain signal, or a faulty climate projection could ripple into real-world consequences. That's why researchers emphasize transparency. Systems like AlphaGeometry don't just spit out answers. They show reasoning step by step, mirroring the logic of a human mathematician. That's not a gimmick, it's a safeguard. Without it, science risks becoming a black box where conclusions appear without a trail. And in science, the trail matters as much as the destination. You can't publish, replicate, or build on an invisible process. This explains why explainability has become the holy grail in AI-powered research.
But verification isn't the only tension. There's also the question of access. Right now, breakthroughs often flow from a handful of well-funded labs: DeepMind, OpenAI, Google, Nvidia. These companies control infrastructure, talent, and most critically, the compute resources required to train massive models. If AI truly becomes a discovery engine, who owns that engine? Does every lab get access to the tools, or does discovery bottleneck through corporate pipelines? This question isn't abstract. It determines whether the next cancer treatment is universal or proprietary, whether climate simulations guide global policy or corporate strategy. There's a parallel here with the printing press. When knowledge became widely distributable, revolutions in science and politics followed. But imagine if Gutenberg's press had been licensed to a single company. Knowledge would have trickled instead of flooding. That's the risk now. AI breakthroughs are dazzling, but they're also concentrated. The worry isn't just about missed opportunities. It's about systemic imbalance in who gets to shape the future of discovery.
Meanwhile, there's the cultural tension inside science itself. For centuries, discovery was slow and personal. A lone mathematician scribbling proofs by candlelight. A chemist mixing compounds painstakingly by hand. Progress carried a human narrative: struggle, error, persistence. Now, AI-powered labs operate continuously, generating hypotheses faster than journals can publish them. The pace is exhilarating but destabilizing. Scientists trained to value patient rigor now face a torrent of machine-driven leads. The danger isn't laziness, it's overwhelm. How do you prioritize when 10,000 plausible discoveries arrive before breakfast? This fire hose of potential insights introduces a new skill: triage. The scientist of tomorrow may spend less time on raw experimentation and more on curating, validating, and steering machine outputs. In some sense, AI transforms researchers into editors of discovery. That's not a demotion, it's a shift in craft. Instead of brute forcing every path, scientists orchestrate exploration at scale. The work becomes less about mixing chemicals personally and more about designing the frameworks that decide which chemicals the robot mixes next. But even orchestration raises its own paradox. If machines design the experiments, run them, and interpret the results, where does human intuition fit? Intuition has always mattered in science. Those leaps that emerge from gut feeling, from seeing a pattern nobody else noticed. Can AI replicate that? Maybe partially. But intuition is shaped by culture, metaphor, and even accidents. Einstein's thought experiments about trains and clocks didn't emerge from datasets. They emerged from a playful imagination. That spark remains human territory, at least for now. Yet the boundary keeps shifting. Already AI has suggested new materials, new algorithms, and even novel mathematical proofs. These weren't rediscoveries of known answers. They were surprises. Surprises are the raw currency of intuition. And if algorithms can generate them, maybe the line between human creativity and machine creativity isn't as clean as we'd like. The unsettling question is, what happens when machines surprise us in ways we can't fully explain? Do we celebrate the outcome, or do we hesitate because the path is opaque? The broader public often views AI through consumer products, chatbots, art generators, voice assistants. But beneath the surface, these scientific applications carry deeper stakes. It's not about writing quirky poems. It's about predicting the next pandemic pathogen, designing the next superconductor, or projecting the next megastorm. When those systems work, they accelerate human resilience. When they fail, the consequences ripple at planetary scale. That duality is why AI in discovery feels both thrilling and precarious. And then there's the economic angle. Faster discoveries don't automatically mean faster benefits. Drug pipelines still require clinical trials, approvals, and cautious rollouts. Climate models still need political will to act on their warnings. New materials still demand manufacturing processes to scale them affordably. In other words, AI compresses the discovery phase, but the deployment phase remains human, bureaucratic, and messy. The mismatch between scientific acceleration and institutional lag could become one of the defining tensions of this century. Consider a thought experiment. What if AI mapped a cure for Alzheimer's tomorrow? The science could be breathtaking, but the path from model to medicine could still stretch for years, tangled in regulatory reviews, production bottlenecks, and affordability debates. The discovery wouldn't instantly solve suffering. It would only shine a light on how slow the rest of our systems are. AI's breakthroughs may reveal more about our social inertia than about the limits of technology. Yet it's not all tension and caution. There's genuine wonder here too. Imagine standing under a night sky knowing that somewhere in the LIGO data, AI just identified two black holes colliding billions of years ago. Imagine watching a paralyzed patient type messages with thought alone, the interface mediated by deep learning. Imagine a climate scientist running scenarios in days instead of decades, testing futures like flipping through possible worlds. These are moments of awe, not just utility. They remind us why discovery matters in the first place. The awe is amplified by scale. Each AI breakthrough doesn't stand alone, it compounds. Protein folding accelerates drug discovery, which connects to material science breakthroughs, which connect to climate modeling, which connect back to global health. The web of interdependencies grows tighter, and AI sits at the junctions. It's less a single tool and more an amplifier of everything else. That's why calling it just another technology misses the point. This isn't electricity or the internet, though it shares their disruptive DNA. This feels more like a discovery engine that fuels other discovery engines. But that power amplifies risk as well. If AI-generated materials introduce unforeseen toxicity, or if quantum-accelerated algorithms destabilize encryption, the fallout spreads just as quickly as the breakthroughs. That duality, promise and peril fused together, defines this moment. We don't get one without the other. We get faster cures, but also faster mistakes. We get more powerful tools, but also more powerful accidents. So the closing question becomes not whether AI will discover more, that's already certain. The question is how we as a species will handle discoveries delivered at this velocity. Will we build safeguards fast enough? Will we share breakthroughs broadly enough? Will we trust algorithms too much or distrust them too long? These questions hang like open variables in an equation still unsolved. And maybe that's the most honest way to frame this era. AI is less a finished technology and more a mirror. It reflects back our ambitions, our biases, our urgency, and our blind spots. In the end, the story of AI-powered discovery isn't only about machines, it's about us. How we adapt, how we govern, how we imagine. The machines are accelerating the pace, but the destination remains ours to choose. Standing here, you can feel the tension. On one side, centuries of human struggle distilled into patterns algorithms can now exploit. On the other, the uncharted terrain of living with discoveries we barely had time to digest. This isn't science fiction. This is the present moment, flickering between awe and unease. And the next breakthrough could drop tomorrow, not because a lone genius stayed up late, but because a tireless algorithm kept scanning, predicting, and surprising. The curtain hasn't fallen on human discovery, it's being redrawn. The tools have changed, the speed has changed, and the stakes have changed. What hasn't changed is the hunger to know, to solve, to push beyond the horizon. AI may be the newest engine of discovery, but the journey it powers is still profoundly human. That's the paradox, the opportunity, and the responsibility we now carry.